Reminder is, this is a casual place here. We've got a fridge full of Bud and Bud Light. You know, there's a bar over here. The entire point here is for this to be casual and fun. So nobody's nervous, just have fun.
I don't know if anyone's noticed, I don't know how long you've lived in San Francisco, but there is a growing need for men to marry in San Francisco for the women between the ages of 27 and, I don't know, 45. Okay? I don't know if you've noticed, there's beautiful, attractive, successful women that are now 40, have not found a husband, trying to have a family. That sucks. I mean, they won't tell you it sucks, okay? So I've been, came out of a long-term relationship, whatever. I've been single, so I've been talking to tons of women in the Bay Area. There is a need for men here. There's a lot of men here, but for some reason, a lot of men don't move to San Francisco. They may move to the surrounding areas. Yeah, we have Match.com, we have OkCupid, now we have all these free sites going on. But what I find women really like and really want to marry are East Coast guys. I know that this East Coast sounds so horrible to you.
East Coast, baby.
I'm presenting this to West Coast guys. This is not good. Anyway, well, there's some representing here. I'm from Rhode Island, okay? So here's the deal. Guys out in California, they have what's called the Peter Pan syndrome. They want to be 44 years old, have their own business, and then get the 24-year-old model and marry her. And maybe they don't even want to get married. I've met so many guys in their 40s that just, I'm going to be a bachelor for the rest of my life, whatever. You know, so that's not going to help the women that are between 20, even 26, 25. You know, you're looking for a guy you're going to settle down with, have a family and everything. So that's not going to help us. So, basically, and it's so open-minded out here, anything goes, yada, yada, yada. It's more traditional back at home. So I was looking into a matchmaking service that these women are successful, they will pay for this, to somehow get these women to meet these guys that are over here in New York. I wouldn't go down to DC, but I guess I could. I would focus on New York, New Jersey, and New England area. I'm gonna go over there. I'm gonna meet these guys. I'm gonna get, obviously, you know, just a portion of these guys, and basically connect them with the guys that have grown up in a little more traditional background. I don't know, more East Coast guys. By the time they hit 30, they're like, okay, I'm 30s, like, it's time to settle down. Whether you have pressure from your family or whatever, like, they're just more apt to settle down and start a family in their 30s than guys out here. And also, the guys out here are way laid back, and like way laid back, which is not bad. It's great, it's refreshing, but it's not, somehow it doesn't fit. So I've met so many women, and they're just like, a lot of them are marrying East Coast guys, and it's East Coast guys that happen to come out here for a job, because it's usually why they come out here, it's for a job. Or they fell in love and they're moving here for some chick. But most of the time it's for a job. So what are all the jobs here? Techie jobs. Not a lot of techie guys come, it's just not enough. It's not enough. There's tons of women, not enough men, bottom line. And I go out every Friday night, every Saturday night, whatever night, and I'm talking to women, and they're telling me about their online dating stories, of course, but they're also telling me that there's just not enough guys here. So there's a need, and instead of mail ordering for a Russian bride, you know, you can get yourself an East Coast guy. The whole issue, obviously there's a lot of barriers to this idea. How are you going to import these guys here? What is going to, how is this going to happen?
Kidnapping.
So I've done research, and okay, so this is not going to be some Match.com for East Coast guys. No way, because you could just, you know, search for East Coast guys on Match.com right now. You're not going to be looking at profiles, you know, in bed late at night, whatever. You're going to be actually paying for a matchmaking service. But we're going to be focusing on that region of the country, and, you know, obviously market those guys, and we're going to market the San Francisco women, or maybe extend it to the Bay Area women, to those guys. I'm going to go both coasts.
It seems like it's a very...
Then you're going to have a portion of guys that are willing to relocate if they fall in love. And you're going to have a portion of guys that, no, my business is here, my family's here, absolutely not. That woman has to be willing to move to me. So then you have women here, and I've talked to a lot of them. They're willing to get their ass to Boston like ASAP on a flight tomorrow if they meet the man in their dreams, and they will do it. And so if you have that portion of women that will do that, and then you have a portion of women that know that guy has to come here. So you kind of have different. But then I pitched this idea earlier, and I really love your friends, because who am I going to get the pool of men at home? I'm going to start obviously with my cousins, my friends, my guy friends that are still single and they're like 32, you know. So it's gonna slowly, go throughout. What do you think?
So I'm from the East Coast, and I think it's a crazy idea, but I think it's a really good idea.
Yeah.
I'm a transplant here. The majority of my friends from the East Coast, I've had a lot of them who have transplanted out here, have all left within 2 years.
Gone back.
And it's primarily because they can't find a man or a woman. I don't think it's just a women finding a man issue. I think it's just all together.
Interesting.
I think the implementation is what you're going to struggle with, and maybe it starts off as small as like an East Coast transplants meetup, right?
Yeah. Right.
And just organizing around transplants.
They need to meet. I'm just getting paid for them to actually
I don't even
meet,
know if you start with paying, but just get similar like-minded individuals together and just listen to the needs and kind of how people have tried to address those needs. And I think the opportunity will gradually kind of come to the surface.
I agree.
Yeah,
I like that.
but I definitely think there's a need there. 100%.
I would go to it now. I mean, I've experienced the same thing. But like, I mean, I know exactly what you mean, albeit from a sort of different angle, but there's just like, I mean, it's a different philosophy. It really is. It's, I mean, in DC, DC's not as insane as like a place like Texas, for example, where it's like if a girl's not married by age 23, something's wrong with her. But, I mean, like, it's not that far off from that. Where it's like, come out here, it's like, whatever, right? Then, I definitely see the problem, 100%. I sort of agree that, I think the implementation will be tough, because at a certain point, it's one thing when you have, like, I don't know if you're familiar with that, there's obviously 100 companies in this space, but the one I've heard of, it's called It's Just Lunch, where it's like for business professionals, right? And the whole idea is all you're doing is going and grabbing lunch. And it's like, because you've knocked down a lot of the barrier and it's not so much pressure and, oh, we've got this date, it's really easy to just say yes to it. Right. And then it's like you go, you have fun, oh, we just had lunch. It was like a business thing, right? And you can always write it up, oh, it was just a business lunch, right? The challenge in this case is that somebody has to move. And not just move like, from here to San Jose, but like across the country. Right. So I think that's going to be something that's a huge, you better really know she's the one to make that call, right? That's just going to be a hard thing to do. So I'd be interested to see how you...
Any other ideas how to import men here for all the women?
Why will others
this is...
Do they have to come here?
You can make so much money doing
this is my question. Do they have to come here, or could the girl go there?
Because, I'd just be in New York right now, or Rhode Island, or whatever, you said New Jersey. I want them here.
But I always say too many men, because, like, mainly, I'm from Montreal, so I know a lot of guys, a lot of engineers, there are many guys moving here, and, like, they only hang out with engineers, and like it seems that, from my perspective, the problem is the opposite. Yeah. But it might be like that. Your type of woman doesn't like the type of guys who move here. Basically, they don't like geeks.
Why don't you start with the transplants that are already here? If you've already got East Coast guys, you've got a bunch of East Coast guys that are already on the West Coast.
1, 2,
3.
I'm going to speak up here.
So
he's wanting to say something. He's wanting to say something.
These East Coast guys that are here.
Hold on, he's wanting to say something.
That's the thing.
Go ahead.
We're getting married, these East Coast guys that are here.
So we're getting like snatched up.
Yeah, they get snatched right away. Of course they're gonna. They're a hot commodity here.
I actually think your focus is misplaced.
Really?
Because if you go to any of your girlfriends and say, do you want to marry an East Coast guy, or do you want to marry a guy who's like the East Coast guys? And so, if you really distill out the features or the qualities of East Coast guys, and be able to sort of apply them to people already here, they don't have to be from the East Coast. You just need somebody
it's just
like
a generalization.
East Coast guy.
Right.
Then you solve the import problem because they're already here. You just need to find them with similar qualities.
Okay, that's
so
good.
I think you need to focus about what makes an East Coast guy an East Coast guy, and then find other guys like that wherever they may be.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the East Bay's full of them. They're trying to get a chick to go from the city to go to the East Bay.
No, you don't want a guy that lives in the East Bay. You know why? Because he lives in the East Bay for a reason.
I live in the East Bay.
He's not a San Francisco guy.
So you want to go East Coast, but not that close East Coast.
Yeah, go to Boston, but not to Florida.
You want the guy from New York that's
Jersey is
going to
out of
live
the
in
scope,
right? Okay, so that was the first idea. What do you think?
So, I have lived in the South.
Insane.
I've lived in the South.
Alabama?
Alabama.
Wow.
And if you're looking for guys that want to get married,
Yeah.
totally are looking at the wrong market. Because
Yeah,
you
but
went
you
to
don't
guys
want
from
guys from
Alabama,
Alabama.
Mississippi.
Tennessee.
But
Tennessee.
you
Go
find good. No, I
You
have
want,
friends
like,
that are
you know?
22, 23 that are married.
Yeah.
They want to get married. These are the guys that want kids. They want families. They want that. They want that picture perfect.
Right,
married
but you
my
want
wife when
the
she was
ambitious,
23.
successful guy that's, entrepreneur that's in New York City right now busting his ass, and then he wants to get married. You don't, I don't know if you really want the Alabama guy that's like 23 that wants to get married.
Well, I'm not saying I just think you should look in the South. Like there are really successful people in the South. I mean, not everyone from Alabama lives in Detroit.
I guess so. But I think there's something about that East Coast. It's not so. I'm not saying that everybody lives in the South.
That's fine.
It's from Detroit, but maybe they're more laid back. But you are right on it. You are right on it. Find the qualities of the East Coast.
I do think that was a good point. Unfortunately, that's time. But
one quick comment, I actually saw it was years ago. I saw this TV show, and it was basically they took some girl that was here, and she was not finding anyone that was compatible, and they found a guy in New York, and so they flew her there, and they found a girl in New York who wasn't finding what she wanted there, and they flew her here,
And they made a TV
and they
show.
basically had the girl in New York live in her apartment, and the other girl lived in her apartment.
Right.
And they dated those people that they selected for them, and they went on maybe a few dates with various people, in their new city.
Right.
And then they televised it or they documented it, and then helped them to find if it was more what they wanted in terms of the type of guy on the West Coast versus East Coast. And
I like that a lot, actually, because it's
Skype dates.
You don't have to make the decision. You just it's temporary. It's like if you don't like it, you can go back.
Yeah, it's you're there for a few weeks.
But how does it work with work? What are you going to
Well, you
work?
take vacation. You take.
Yeah, but what if you already took your vacation?
Who's been in a long distance relationship?
Yeah, no, thank you.
Who's married? Who's
I
married?
believe I'm on this.
Who's married? Who has been married?
No.
Nope.
I'm not convinced it's a San Francisco problem. I think it's a nationwide
Really?
problem.
It is an urban cosmopolitan problem that's worldwide in the West.
Yeah, and there was a recent article in the New York Times talking about this.
I don't think they have this problem in San Diego. I think it's a different problem in San Diego. But a lot of the...
What was the article you're
San
going to say?
Diego.
Oh, yeah, so there's this New York Times article. It's called something about the new adulthood or the new age of adulthood.
Right.
That talks about people in their 20s who are not achieving.
I read this article. Yeah, I read this too.
Yeah, living at home with mom.
Yeah. And how people are taking a lot longer to achieve those life goals.
Which I think it has a lot more to do with the current economic climate and a lot of other factors. It's not just
But it's been like this since I moved here, and I moved here 7 years ago, and I looked at the woman in Starbucks who was 40 and really wanted a child and couldn't find a guy here.
But that was
And I never wanted to
03.
be that
Tech was
woman.
down in 03.
I dated
I'm I never want to be that woman, and now
I'm just saying.
32, and I'm okay, it's still the same way. I'm still seeing the 40-year-old woman.
So what do you do about the problem of women thinking that they want one thing and then going with something completely different in the end?
all the time.
You assume it's
Wait.
the man's
Percentage
problem
of
in this
that.
whole situation.
No, I don't.
Not
Not at all.
Dr.
Not at all.
when I-
I'm just saying population.
Well, yeah, but when I first moved to the city, I was only 23, bottom of the
Yeah.
pool. Yeah, so
Right.
majority of the women I met were much older, and
Uh-huh.
I did date an older woman before,
Right.
and not quite coug, but
Puma.
cougar.
Yeah, well,